Hello, welcome to Saturday Night Crafting. My name is Sasha Reed. If you've not been joining me before, I like to do a video on Saturday nights when we can all chill out and relax. And tonight I thought I would carry on playing with some of these dies that are Slimline and DL. I get asked all the time what DL means. I'll put it in the description box so you can read it. But basically, it is the A4 version here in the UK, and I think most of the world. From what I gather, it's just Canada and the States, I believe, that have different size paper and card. And Slimline dies fit that style where you fold it sort of the other direction than a normal size card. And this fits the sort of rest of the world size of card, if that makes sense. I'll put down in the description box the definition for a DL so that you can have a little look and see what it means. So I'm playing with the DL dies today, so they are fatter and slightly longer, I believe, and the Slimline are skinnier. Getting started, I am going to take a piece of A4 sticky back adhesive sheet. This is double-sided adhesive sheet from Alina Crafts. I'll link it down below for you. And I'm just adhering a whole entire sheet of black. Now, I plan to use up the whole thing. That's why I'm putting the adhesive on the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and cut it to my layer size 1. So I made my little samples here so I remember what layer 1 is, what layer 2 is, and what a DL card size is, so I don't forget. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it down to that size, and it's got the adhesive on the back. I'll put the rest of it aside for another card. Now my die fits perfectly on top of this black line. So I'm going to tape it exactly in place. I don't want it to shift in my die cutting machine because that would be a real shame. So I'm using my low tack tape from AliExpress. It's just a post-it note roll tape. And you can see how it's die cut. It's die cut beautifully through all of it. And that's exactly what I wanted because I want to poke out all those little bits. There's so many intricate little bits to this die set. I'll do my best to link this die set down below for you. I believe it's still definitely available on CraftStash. I only saw it on there the other week. But the dies cut gorgeous. And you can get them in DL and Slimline. So that is really perfect. CraftStash also have an American site, so I'll link the American links down below, and the rest of the world, I believe you just use the UK site if you want to have a look at anything from their shop. So I'm pulling out scraps out of my little scrap jar. You'll see this in almost every video, and I apologize, but it sits on my desk and it's really handy. I'm just pulling out some metallic little strips at first. These are all ones that I pre-made, and I did exactly what I did with that black sheet, but I did it in a slightly smaller version. And I had put the adhesive on the back of them and then trimmed them into little strips, like teeny tiny strips. This is all my scrap paper and card from my Crafter's Companion pads, and I'm just pulling them out and having a look and seeing what would match with some of my scraps from my jar. So I'm pulling out these ones that I really like from the jar that I want to use up, and then I'm going ahead and cutting a few more purples because I decided to go with pinks and purples and kind of do an ombre from pink to purple down my card in the background. So most of this is just scraps from my scrap jar, and then I kind of pulled in a few extra colors just to tie it together. Now some of my little gold strips are slightly too short for my DL card backing, but I either will add in a little bit of extra gold, which you won't really notice, or I will go ahead and just leave it as is. Nobody will know. So I start out by putting down some tape runner. This is the tonic tape runner. I very quickly realized it just does not work that well. I've seen Jennifer McGuire do this a lot, and she's very skilled at it, but I just found I couldn't shift it if I slightly put it into the wrong place. So you can see there on my left, I missed that little bit of gold. I switched to using my liquid glue because it just gives me a bit more wiggle room. Now, the card I'm sticking onto is a standard piece of cardstock. I think this is a 300 GSM piece of cardstock that I'm sticking it down to. I am not die cutting it out, so I don't need it to be a nice thin base. I can use a nice thick piece of card so it's nice and sturdy for when I'm sticking all this glue on. And I'm just literally going ahead and sticking them all down and putting in a few metallic bits in between. You can see on that one it's a little bit short on the right, but I just leave it. It kind of covers it up with the pattern from the die, so I don't worry about it too much. And so I'm just sticking down my last little strip on there, and then I can go ahead and take my long Tim Holtz scissors and just trim off all the excess. You could do this on a paper trimmer, but I found this is just as easy, and you don't have to worry too much because that black edge is going to cover up if you slightly snip a little bit too close or something like that. Your top die is going to cover it up, or your top die cut, I should say. So this is a great way to use up those scraps and just kind of add a little bit of a wow factor to the back of your card. So I love it, and I plan to do several more of these because I love how they turned out. Now I'm doing the same trick with how I got the adhesive onto this cardstock. I'm going to pull back just a little bit. I'm going to line up the rest of my card on that end that still has a release paper on. And once I've got it lined up, I'm going to press the left side down. That's how you get it perfectly on your card without it going wonky. Now I can go ahead and pull that release sheet out a bit at a time and run my hand along it and kind of flatten it down. This is a great way, if you've not got much wiggle room, to get a nice exact measurement or exact lined up edge. So I've gone ahead and stuck that all down now. And I can come in with my release sheet from my sticky paper. Once I pull out the little bits that kind of got stuck, you see I've got a little piece just in there, and you can just poke it through because I've not pushed it down super hard just yet. So that release sheet that I took off from the full A4 backing paper is going to come in so handy now. I can just put that down, take my bone folder and really press quite firm and get that adhesive really stuck down on the front of my card. Now I can take it and apply my adhesive to the back of this whole entire base panel and stick it right on top of my card, and it's got that perfect little border all the way around it. I've got these nestable heart dies. They're in the scalloped form. I'll do my best to link these down below as well. They're also from Craft Stash. I really enjoy all these sort of shaped dies. They work so nicely on almost every project I do. I love a good set of shaped dies, and these ones come in scallops and stitched and regular as well. So really good selection of dies if you like layering dies. And I'm just going ahead and cutting out a few different hearts. I do change my mind in the end on some of the patterns or some of the colors. I've got this dimensional embossing folder, and I've heard that you need to kind of spritz it a little bit with water before you run it through, otherwise it can kind of tear your paper a bit. So that's what I was doing there. I was just spritzing it a bit with water, and then you can see it's kind of got a 3D shape to it or effect to it. And I've also got a standard butterfly embossing folder. If I can find this one on Craft Stash, I'll put it down below for you. I got it quite a while ago. But I just wanted some pattern to my hearts that I'm going to put on the top. Just something that add a little bit more character. Now here you can see I kind of change it up a little bit and decide that actually a beautiful pink foil would be fantastic. Now, I do have to apologize because I did lose a bit of footage, but I went ahead and stamped "Thanks so much" on the heart with my black ink, and then I inked the edges with that purple Nuvo ink. So I do apologize that you didn't see that little step. And originally I thought I would do a little stamp there with that hello set and do like a little sentiment that went under it in a strip of white. But I did change my mind and thought it just didn't fit with the hearts, and the white seemed to just kind of pop out too much. So you can see that little strip just there underneath the heart, and I don't use that in the end. I decided against it. So now I just go ahead and stick my hearts down and pretty much pull the rest of the card together. So it was a really quick and easy card to do, quite simple, but I love the end result. I love how those strips look. I love that intricate die cut. I'm going to definitely die cut out of that intricate die cut for sure, because I could see some beautiful like circles or something coming out of that. Yeah, I just can't wait to play with it more. I've got some metallic thread. This is the kind of rose gold metallic thread, and my little trick for sticking it behind my embellishments is to take a glue dot, pop it onto my little embellishment, and then I kind of wrap the thread around my hands in a nice loose big bundle. That makes sense. It's so hard to describe things sometimes to you. And all I do is I usually twist it in the middle and stick that middle point down on the back of my embellishment. And then I kind of just fiddle with the thread until it kind of looks that kind of messy, controlled look, if that makes sense. Oh gosh, guys, sometimes I just don't know how to describe things. Anyways, I just stick that thread all over the back of it and tuck in the ends, and then I get this kind of cool bit of texture in addition to kind of go on top. Pop it up on some foam squares so it's got a little bit more dimension, and then just stick it down on the front of my card, and that kind of finishes off for me. I did think, should I put this on, should I not? And I decided not to. Oh, I did forget. I came in with some gems. I got these really light pink, they're kind of almost the same colored pink as that thread. And I decided to stick those on all the centers of the flowers that were showing on my background there. And I love it. I love this card so much. And it's still a decent size, that it's not going to be too bulky to go in the post as well, which is really nice. So I hope you had fun with me. I hope you enjoyed crafting on a Saturday night. I hope you've got a nice drink, whether you have a nice glass of wine or a gin or a tea. And I just hope you sit down and do a bit of crafting. And I am so grateful that you came to join me. Please do subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And don't forget to hit the like button, and I would love to read a comment from you. I've been rubbish at replying to comments lately, but I'm reading every single one. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.